As many of us will already know, Cardano is a direct competitor with Ethereum in terms of the development of decentralized applications on their platform, as well as tokenization services which allow assets with traditionally poor liquidity and high barriers to entry like real estate to be traded quickly and in smaller sums by use of crypto tokens. Now, I'm a believer that while Ethereum is good from a utilitarian standpoint, looking at the two projects not in terms of their size, but instead in terms of their value proposition, actually I think that Cardano is at least as good, if not better than Ethereum, and before we get any further, I'd like to take this opportunity to invite you to subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Okay, so at the time of recording this video, ETH is valued by the market as being worth $145 billion, and of course being in crypto this figure will fluctuate on a day-to-day basis. Another word for market valuation is market capitalization. If we were to take a look at Cardano on the other hand, ADA is worth around $10 billion by market value, and is therefore worth around 14.5 times less by this measure. Now, if we were to take a look at the relative merits of each project and then compare them, I don't think that many people would try and argue that Ethereum is worth at least 14 times more than Cardano. Again, from a value-based perspective, I think that Cardano is worth more. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. In fact, I have a theory for this occurrence, and I actually believe that the source of this large difference in market valuation is attributable in large part to discovery bias. In simple terms, I think that it's literally the case that far fewer people have even heard about or understand Cardano and ADA than have heard about Ethereum. I feel that if every crypto investor were to receive and actually read and consider a well laid out description of the pros and cons of both projects, there would be a lot of rebalancing occurring. In fact, if the market were to value Cardano as being worth as much as Ethereum, which I don't think is at all unreasonable because again from a value-based perspective, I think that Cardano is at least as good and has at least as much utility to offer prospective users. Now, in this hypothetical situation where Cardano has a market valuation of $145 billion or thereabout, each unit of ADA would be worth around $5 per unit or just under. Now, if I'm correct in my judgment that Cardano is just as good as Ethereum from a user standpoint, then by that logic the only thing standing in the way of Cardano and a $5 unit valuation at market value is investor ignorance. Right now, the crypto market is in a boom period. We go through cycles of booms and busts and periods of relative stagnation as well. But right now, I think it's fair to say that the crypto market is in a boom period. And one of the characteristics of a boom period is that naturally you have a large influx of new investors. And many of these new investors are instantly drawn toward Bitcoin, and most stop there. In their mind, crypto is Bitcoin and Bitcoin is crypto, which is why Bitcoin still dominates the crypto market, retaining almost 70% of market share. Now, some of these individuals will make it past Bitcoin, and of course the natural route of progression leaves Ethereum as the next in line for discovery. Now, at each iteration, fewer and fewer investors venture on. Practically 100% of crypto investors know about Bitcoin and how it works, and then maybe 20 or 30% venture on and actually spend the time figuring out what Ethereum is and how it works. And it gets so that by the time you get down to the likes of Cardano and others in the same size range, maybe 5% of all crypto investors have at least a basic working knowledge of these projects, and what they do and who their target audience are. The figure may not even be as high as 5%. You see, in my opinion right now, the problem is discovery, and I personally believe that if it was not for this disproportionate discovery problem, ADA could well have a market valuation at least equivalent to Ethereum's, which would equate to a unit valuation of around $5 per unit. And again, I want to stress that this video was recorded a few days before it will be released, and so the market may have changed by that time. However, I believe that the fundamental points remain valid. I mean, it's entirely possible that I've made a miscalculation or that I haven't properly accounted for some factor or other, but other than a lack of relative discovery, I can't figure out why Cardano is worth substantially less than Ethereum at market value. Now, one thing to bear in mind is that historically, a discovery problem hasn't usually been a permanent barrier, but instead a temporary blockade. As Benjamin Graham once said, in the short term the market is a voting machine, but in the long term it's a weighing machine. And this quote holds a lot of truth, because in the short term, which can by the way be a matter of weeks or a matter of years, there is no guarantee that the market will price an asset fairly, but eventually market signals will aid the discovery of underpriced assets and the incorrect previous appraisal will be rectified. Personally, I believe that ADA is quite heavily undervalued relative to Ethereum, especially when considering that the difference in price probably isn't justified by an equivalent difference in actual utility. And I believe that if the market value of ETH is around $145 billion in total, eventually ADA may well be worth roughly the same, of course giving a unit value of around $5 at market. Also, please do understand that this analysis is based upon my own thoughts and opinions. Of course, while I do think that they are right, I may well be wrong. And the prospect that they could be wrong is something which every investor must face. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe for more.